All right, well, hi there. Welcome to Common Sense Media's Appy Hour on Air. This is for Khan Academy's video-based instruction. I'm Brian Dino, and I'm the Common Sense Media Coordinator for Colorado and for Denver Public Schools. I'm coming to you from Denver, Colorado right now on this sunny Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for joining us today, where you can relax and learn a little bit about Khan Academy from two great educators. Each month, we host an Appy Hour here at Graphite and Common Sense Media, where we'll bring you the best digital learning tools and showcase how teachers are using them in their learning. Today we're going to showcase a great free tool in Khan Academy, which we feature on Graphite. Graphite helps teachers find the best apps, games, and websites rated for learning potential. And if you haven't seen it, it's a free site. Go check it out at graphite.org. And I also encourage you to join the conversation about Khan Academy on Twitter at #AppyHour. We'd love to hear how you're using Khan Academy in your classroom or school. And judging by the reviews on Graphite, I know a lot of schools are using Khan Academy. So I'm excited to have two awesome presenters joining us here today. We have Suney Park, who's a 6th grade math teacher at Eastside College Prep School in East Palo Alto, California, and she's also the recipient of the Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching. So, Suney, I just want you to introduce yourself and just give us a little bit of background about yourself, and then we'll introduce our next speaker.
Hi, everyone. My name is Suney Park, and this is my 16th year teaching. We started school last week, and the time has just flown by, and 11 of those years has been at Eastside College Prep. And about 3 years ago, I was asked to join Khan Academy's pilot class. And so they approached us with their product and wanted to know how to implement it in the classroom. And although hesitant at first, I'm so glad that I took the risk and felt a little bit uncomfortable for a while, because the outcome has been so worth it, both for me and my students. So I'm just here to share my experience with you, and but it's always changing, and I hope to learn from others as well.
Great. And next up we have Peter McIntosh, and he's a 9th grade math teacher at Oakland Unity High School in Oakland, California. He's also the author of The Character Gap, which describes how his school changed its math program to boost student performance. And I'm going to let Peter introduce himself. You should know that Peter's having a few technical difficulties, so we're going to hear his voice at a minimum, but right now you can't see him. So, Peter, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing.
Thank you. Yes, I do teach in Oakland at Oakland Unity High School, a charter 4-year high school. Most of minority students whose families have not gone on to college, mostly free and reduced lunch. This is my 7th year teaching. This is my 2nd career. And we jumped into Khan Academy about 4 years ago, and we've had great success. When we first started, we were at the very bottom of the state in algebra and geometry, and we have since moved on up to number 11 in the state on state test just a couple years ago. In addition to teaching algebra, I also teach geometry and AP calculus, and this year we'll be using Khan Academy quite heavily in the AP calculus. And just one other quick thing to note, I did have an opportunity to write a book. It was initially called The Character Gap. We've revised it a little bit with some of the things we've learned, and the title's been changed to Solving the Math Problem. Solving the Math Problem, and it's on Kindle, pretty cheap.
All right. Great. All right, so now you know a little bit about our two speakers here, and first we're going to start off with Suney, and she's going to tell you how she's using Khan Academy out there with her 6th graders in Oakland. So, Suney, take it away.
East Palo Alto, actually.
I'm sorry, East Palo Alto. Yes, go ahead.
We are so proud of our city. Well, I just wanted to share that my involvement in Khan Academy and implementing it and bringing it into my classroom came as a result of a deep frustration in my own teaching and disappointment. I had been teaching math for many years, but I knew something wasn't quite right because I was at the center of the class. It was a teacher-centered classroom, especially when it came to math. It was all about me and my lesson. It was all about teaching the objectives and the standards. And who cares if the students get it or not? As long as I'm teaching it, then we're good. And I knew as I looked out into my classroom that I'd see kids who were bored, kids who had learned the lesson I was teaching maybe 2 or 3 times, and I saw students who were completely at a loss, that I was not meeting their needs, and I didn't have time or the wherewithal to be able to address everyone's need. And year after year, graduating kids from 6th grade and letting them move on without having met them where they were and helping them improve was just really a shameful kind of experience for me. And so when I learned and when I looked at Khan Academy and saw that it had the ability to help me differentiate, that it was able to reach every kid on every day at any given time, that all kids would be learning what they needed to be learning at that time, I knew that this was something really special, and I had never seen any other tool with which to do it. Because I teach 6th grade, I am really into their new setup of these missions. And before, it was just the world of math. But since then, Khan Academy has divided the world of math into grade levels. And currently, I am embarking on the 6th grade mission full force. And I have a short PowerPoint presentation which I want to refer to help guide what I'm saying. So I'm going to switch over to that now. I hope you see this. And I'm going to guess that you do.
We can see it, yes. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see here. So I start my math class with a mission. And because it's the 6th grade mission, I've adopted that from the Khan Academy wording. And I have the students say this oath about accepting this mission, about being committed to it, and also knowing that it's not just theirs, but it's also their classmates. And they have a responsibility not only for themselves, but also to their classmates to be able to help them along. And so we kind of get into this group and we chant this and we say it and then we sign it. And I want the kids to know that a mission is hard. It's long. There's going to be days that are very good and there's going to be days that are very bad, and when you want to abort the mission. And I want the students to know that it's a journey. And so we talk about mission at the beginning of the year. This is what we did last week. And we talked about what the mission is going to be for them in math. And if you look on the Khan Academy website under the subject math, you'll see that the 6th grade mission is divided into these bullet points in these areas. There's 6 areas that I go through. The one here called negative numbers, my 7th grade teacher at our school does that unit, and so I've given that to her. And I've added one called problem solving, knowing that I want to bring as much conceptual understanding of the content as I can. So that's something that I bring along on my own. The 6th grade math mission, we start with pre-assessments, and those are the ones that I have on my own. I just take from different sources and just to see how the kids are doing. It also begins with having prerequisites met. Khan Academy does a great job there on the math tab showing what the mission foundations are for each of the grade level missions. And the students then take on the mission, and I give recommendations and exercises, and these are some of just the components of my math class. I wanted to show you kind of what my math class looks like with Khan Academy. Here in the blue, you see all of the topics under the 6th grade math mission, and next to them are written KA, which means that Khan Academy is half of the way that they're learning these skills and concepts. And in the white, you see projects that I do alongside what they're doing on Khan Academy to get the kind of the comprehensive approach to math, so that they're not only able to apply it, but also to learn, you know, just the skills themselves. And so we have a combination of Khan Academy exercises and projects that are very rich. Some are from Connected Mathematics, some are from Marvelous Middle School Math, Some are from something called exemplars, where I get my problem-solving plan from, and these all together make for a really rich math experience. On Khan Academy, what I love is the mission foundations. My students come to 6th grade with a lot of holes and a lot of gaps, and so I know that they're not quite ready to start 6th grade math mission, that there's a lot of prerequisites that they need to first pass. And here, as you can see, Khan Academy does a great job identifying what the mission foundations are. And so these are the different skills that they're going to need to know before they head into the 6th grade mission. So that's definitely worth checking out. Another great place to look under the math tab is this place called Foundations. And here they talk about the main things that need to be learned by the students as a foundation before proceeding on to the grade level mathematics. And for 6th grade, I was able to look at the prerequisites. These are all the exercises that are prerequisites for the 6th grade unit of properties of numbers. And so the students just look these up in the search button, and then they just practice these exercises. On the next slide, it's kind of amazing how many there are, but there's a lot of prerequisites for arithmetic operations. With decimals, there's a whole bunch of them. With fractions, there's a lot. And it's overwhelming at first, but if the students really know what they're doing and if they've learned it, they can master these pretty quickly. And they actually really love like highlighting them and checking them off because they're done, they know it, and at which point they can move on to the actual 6th grade mission. And again, here are the geometry prerequisites. So I got these from not only the Foundations tab, but also by looking through everything that preceded 6th grade math and 5th grade and 4th grade and 3rd grade that I thought would be necessary for them to have. So these prerequisites are a combination of what Khan Academy offers and lists, as well as kind of my own judgment. And look at this. I was super happy because these 4 topics, there were no prerequisites, that they're learning it pretty much fresh in 6th grade. And so I know that for these, I'm going to have to do a lot of teaching. There's not much prerequisites that they have, so a lot of it's going to be whole group lessons. And if the kids can learn on their own with the videos, then that's fine too. So I know that this is going to be my area of focus this year. And then here's just a dashboard. I know it's not super clear, but I can at any point see how my students are doing, not only with their 6th grade mission, but also with the mission foundation. And so I can make recommendations based on this. And just a few images of my students. This is just taken last week. We have them working, some watching videos and some just being goofy over here in the background, and then some just working without a video. All of them right now are working on prerequisites. We're going to work on prerequisites all week and see where they end up. And next week, I know some students will be able to move on to the 6th grade mission, whereas others will be continuing with prerequisites because they do definitely need to fill in those holes before they begin the 6th grade mission. I hope that kind of makes sense, and if everyone was able to follow along, but I really feel that Khan Academy is half of the math curriculum, half of it, and it's really given the students the ability to take control of their own learning. They are so self-aware. They know what they know, and they know what they don't know. And it's their job to kind of traverse that journey, filling in holes and moving forward. And to my delight, it's differentiation, and it's also my way of not being the center of the learning, but that the student is the center, and I come alongside them to help them and to scaffold and to intervene when I need to. And it's really transformed my whole classroom. At any point, I can look across and see that every student is working on what they need to be. Nobody's waiting. Nobody's bored. Nobody's absolutely confused because the data that Khan Academy gives us and the exercises that they have at all different levels makes it possible. So I think that's kind of what I do in a nutshell. I'm really I'm so willing to share, the different projects and resources that I have to make it really comprehensive, because Khan Academy is only half. The other half then becomes application, and that's usually done, in my experience, through rich problem solving, which comes through these projects that are about real life in the real world. And my job is harder now. It's not to teach. It's more to provide application and use of what they've learned and bring it all together. So I hope that explains it. Brian, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I do. Boy, that's great, and I loved your mission that you started off with. Wow, your mission statement and getting the kids to buy in. That is a great way to start the school year. I think you started just 2 weeks ago. Am I right?
The kids started last week, so this is our second week of school.
Second week, okay. So I think by seeing some of your slides, you answered a couple of my questions. In just a moment, we're going to bring in Peter there, so sit tight, Peter. But your classroom setup, it looks like your kids each had access to a laptop. Could you just talk just a bit about your classroom setup?
Yeah, so we have 22 students, and we have a laptop cart, and it's just one of the basic laptops, nothing fancy, but definitely we do have internet access for each person. And so the kids have their own computer, which they're responsible for, and it just stays right in the classroom. And we're very fortunate to have this. I know so many teachers try to do this with sharing computers and only having a couple, or having to travel to a computer lab. But it's something that we have right here in the classroom, and we've made it a priority to have a lot of bandwidth so that it can sustain the kids on videos and on exercises. You can have all 22 of them on at once, while also having bandwidth for the rest of the school.
Right, okay. Yeah, key requirement. So it looks like a lot of the time the kids are, after you do the prerequisites, kids are at different levels, and with Khan, a lot of the time they're working independently at their level, and are you just circulating and meeting the kid at their level and helping them? And is there time for group instruction, or is that where the projects come in?
The projects are the group instruction. Also, if I see the whole class struggling with a particular skill, which if you search around on the dashboard, you can see that, then I'll just stop everything and we all have a whole group lesson. And sometimes the kids tell me, Sunny, I think we need a whole group lesson on this. The video didn't explain it that well, or it was a little bit confusing. So there's points, any aware teacher who is kind of paying attention is going to know where everyone keeps asking the same questions and getting stuck. And you just stop and you intervene and you go back to whole class model. And with what I do while the kids are working independently, I'm on my computer too, looking at where the reds are showing up, popping up, and I'm able to go right there and help them in small groups or individually, and I can just be popping up recommendations to kids. Right. If I know a kid is struggling, I don't want them to move on in the math mission. I want them to stay there, so I'm going to put my own recommendation above the list that Khan Academy generates for them as they work through the mission, and they have to do my recommendation first. So it's like being at a control panel.
Yeah, with real-time data.
Yes, real-time data.
Okay, one last thing. How about home access? Because I know some schools, of course, it depends all on the kids' access at home, but do you assign it for homework, or how does that work in your school?
I don't assign it for homework.
Okay.
Not all of my kids have computers or access to the internet at home. We do have a computer lab that's open from 5 to 10. Okay. If I see a student who's so behind and is spending all the time on prerequisites, they definitely need more time. And we discuss as a class that everyone's going to be different. Some kids are going to have to spend this much time because they're a little bit behind for faults that are not their own. And so they accept that and they say, okay, this is where I am, so I'm going to have to put in more time. So I'll call their parents and say, can you please let your son or daughter stay in the computer lab till 8 p.m. and work on Khan Academy? And they'll do that. They'll bring dinner for them. But I never assign it for homework because I know not everyone has equal access or opportunity at home.
Right. Wow. Okay. Great. Thank you. That is wonderful. And just seeing your slides and how you bring in projects is amazing. So thank you, Sunny. Right, I'm going to bring in Peter now. And if you're just joining us, Peter McIntosh is a 9th grade math teacher at Oakland Unity High School. He's having some technical issues. We can hear from him, but we can't see him nor his slides. So I'm going to turn it over to Peter, and he's going to tell you how he's got an amazing success story out there in Oakland using Khan Academy. So, Peter, Tell us about your experience with Khan Academy.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to have access to your audience. I'm a 9th grade teacher. I'm also a 10th, 11th, and 12th grade teacher. I'm a high school teacher in East Oakland, a difficult, challenging neighborhood. And probably one way to sort of sum it up, I have students in my freshman algebra class that are really learning the same things that are being learned in Suney's 6th grade class. Our kids have a content gap, but you can't look at only the content gap without also looking at the fact that they've gone many years in middle school where they weren't learning. And this has changed the kids. This changes their learning habits, changes their attitudes about school. And I think if anyone listening is involved in high school education in a struggling school, you know what I'm talking about. Kids walk in the room, they're good kids. They present like they want to learn, but the behavior suggests that maybe they're not all that interested in learning. And one way to think about this is, we've had so many problems in education in places like Oakland over the decades, and we keep looking at newer and better ways to deliver the content, and we're so focused on better content that sometimes we miss the very simple observation that too many of our kids are increasingly disinterested in actually receiving that content. It doesn't matter how well I present if they're not going to catch. And I know for a fact that many of my students had gone through middle school with fabulous teachers, and yet they come into my class not knowing the material they should know, not always knowing that they don't know, and too often acting as if they almost don't want to know. So we came to the conclusion we had to find a way to reach these young men and women. And what started out even before Khan Academy and the computers by finding ways to get them to just do the homework. We could get them to do the work. We could get them to learn. And we had a variety of ways of improving focus on homework, and we had huge improvements in our test scores just with that alone, going back to the basics. But it was clear that wasn't enough, and then we discovered Khan Academy. And so now we've had great success. As we mentioned in the intro, we became the number 11 school in the state of California in 9th grade algebra, coming from the 20th percentile to the 99th percentile. In geometry, we went from the 4th percentile to the 75th. And quite honestly, we did this with technology, but I think our most important emphasis has been that we are not a technology program. Every student has a computer on their desk. We are not a technology program. We are a responsibility program. We are focused on having these students take responsibility for their learning. But what we've discovered is the internet, Khan Academy in particular, is the right tool to engage them in that responsibility. But as long as we keep that in mind, it changes a lot of how we approach it. Every student has a computer on their desk. The whole course is based on Khan Academy, 100%. We don't assign classwork and homework. We assign Khan work. And on the Khan website, there are examples of the syllabus we've used in past years. But basically, each student is given a page of the various exercises he or she will be expected to do throughout the course of the entire semester, broken down day by day, week by week. And we expect them to get those done each week, a block of 4 to 7 exercises. And we grade them at the end of the week on whether or not they have completed them. Throughout the week, we spend time at the beginning of each period doing a warm-up with problems that are tailored to the exercises assigned that week. And then I spend a lot of time walking around and helping individual students. And that's really how our day rolls. But the one thing I stress, I don't stress each day the main content topics we're covering. I don't stress each day that today we're talking about quadratics or linear equations. What I stress every day is responsibility. You have a responsibility not just to follow the warm-up on the board and copy it down after I do it. You have a responsibility to be sure you know that material in the warm-up and take it home and practice it. You have a responsibility to do your Khan exercises every night. You have a responsibility to learn the material. Come in and see me for help. After we give a test, and we give paper tests periodically, I'll actually have them write a blog article about to what extent were they taking responsibility for their learning over the past several weeks? And did the responsibility they take show up in doing the work? And did that responsibility and that work result in gaining confidence? And by stressing that and by using these tools, as I said, we've had some great results. And we think the capstone is going to be this year that some of those students that sort of showed the most, all that great success in moving up to the top of the state are joining me in AP Calculus this year, and much of that work will also be in Khan Academy.
Great. So, Peter, like Sunny said, it looks like you have a similar classroom setup. Each student has a computer, and a lot of the time they're working on individual goals and problems, and you're helping them where they're at, depending on the level. Right. Okay.
And to address Sunny's point, about the access, we struggled with this mightily early on. In our neighborhood, especially, it was the case that many of our students would not have, we thought, computers. But here's how we came to resolve it. It's our hope that many of our students will do so well they get a free scholarship to a UC or a CSU college. But even with a full scholarship, college is expensive and costs much more than the price of the relatively cheap computers these days. We could not hold back on going all in on the technology on the fear that some could not afford it. We had to simply do it, state the expectation the students would do the work. Well, then we do make available after school computers. We tell our students, if you don't have one at home, rearrange your schedule, stay after school for 45 minutes or an hour, do your online homework first, then go home. But you have the responsibility to get it done, and that's worked great.
Great. All right. Well, we are running out of time here, so first of all, I want to give a huge thank you to Peter and Sunny for joining us today and showcasing Khan Academy. Peter's school started back this week. Sunny started back last week. Every school day is busy, but this time of year is the craziest, and they took time out to prepare for this and also deliver it today. So I want to thank them for their efforts. And finally, if you want to find more productivity management tools that you can use in your schools, just like Khan Academy, you can find great websites or apps. You can go to the Graphite site, graphite.org. I'm going to give you a quick screenshot of that. And it's graphite.org. It's a free site from Common Sense Media. Here's the Khan Academy review right here. And if you scroll down, you will see that there's an in-depth review of Khan Academy. You'll get this type of review for many, many other apps and websites. And best of all, on this Khan Academy, you can hear from other teachers. As I scroll down here, there's 76 teachers right now that have weighed in on Khan Academy and how they use it in their classroom, much like Sunny and Peter. So that's graphite.org, and if you wanted to leave a review, you can just click on Add a Field Note. Those are the reviews for the items you'll see out there, and you can lend your opinion to the app. So that is it for this Appy Hour, and I want to thank everyone for joining us. This will be archived for future viewing, and you have an Appy rest of your day. Thank you.